Hello, my beautiful friends, my amazing fans. Welcome to our grammar class today. Still on verbs. Yeah, verbs. Yes, that is to show how important it is. Verbs are very important and indispensable word in when it comes to English making sentences. They are indispensable. You cannot ignore it. You cannot ignore them. They are very, very important. Now, today we are going to look at finite and non-finite verbs. The finite and non-finite verbs. The finite verbs are those forms of verbs that can stand alone in a sentence and make complete sense. They are those verbs that can stand alone. They do not require auxiliary verbs to make its meaning complete. It can change from present to past or from past to present. I mean tense. You can change it from being present tense to past tense. You can also change it from being past tense to present tense. And these forms of verbs you're talking about are the present form and the past form of verb. Remember in our in our previous class on forms of verb, I told you that every verb has five forms. Every verb has five forms: the base, the present, the past, the perfect, and the progressive. So the ones we call the finite forms are the present and the past. And the present forms are two types, the singular and the plural, then the past form. So you can find it as in speak, speaks, spoke, run, runs, ran, come, comes, came, swim, swims, swam, eat, eats, ate, talk, talks, talked, jump, jumps, jumped, steal, steals, stole. So when you use them in a sentence, you will observe that these verbs here, both the present and the past, the singular and the plural, they can stand alone in a sentence. They don't need any help. They don't need any auxiliary verb in order to convey its meaning. Examples here used in a sentence, you will find have words like sentences like we speak French. You can see that speak here stands alone in this sentence. He speaks fluently. They spoke very well at the meeting. Emeka runs a race. They run very fast. He ran to the bus stop. So these verbs, they are called finite verbs. They can stand alone in a sentence. You can change the verbs from being present to past because you can see them as it is written here. Some are used the present forms. You can also use it as a you can change it to past. Now let's talk about the non-finite verbs. The non-finite verbs are those forms of verbs that cannot stand alone in a sentence without an auxiliary verb. They cannot make a complete meaning, and you cannot change them from present to past or from past to present tense. No, you cannot change them because they need a helping verb in order to make a complete meaning. Yeah, the forms of verbs we are talking about here are the progressive form of the verb, the past participle, and the infinitive. The progressive form of the verbs are verbs that end with ing. Verbs that end with ing. Then the past participle are also the perfect tense. Then the infinitive. The infinitive are verbs that go with to speak, to run. Any verb that begins with to is called an infinitive. So you see that these forms of verbs I'm talking about, you cannot use them alone in a sentence. They cannot convey a complete meaning in a sentence. You have them in these words as speaking, spoken, to speak, stealing, stolen, to steal. So these examples here will now tell you that these words, these verbs, they cannot stand alone. They must be needing a helping verb for them to complete their meaning. So we cannot speak thus. One, you eating the food, you see that it is wrong. We're running away. I spoken the truth. Emeka stolen the money. I eating rice and beans. Ike to steal the toy. the girl to sing at the church. So you'll observe here that all these verbs here, they are called non-finite verbs. They cannot stand alone in a sentence to complete this meaning. They must be needing a helping verb, that is an auxiliary verb, in order to complete their meaning. Yeah, this is all we have on finite and non-finite verbs. Always remember to share and like my video. See you in our next class for another interesting topic. I am still your favorite English teacher, Teacher Fidelia Uchichime. See you in our next class. Thank you for listening. Bye.